Welcome to the grammar section of Chapter 3 of our Latin series. This chapter looks at singulars and plurals of nouns and adjectives. If you remember from Chapter 2, I said it's important to pay attention to endings of words. One of my frequent phrases is pay attention to the endings because the endings are our friends. Now, as we look at nouns in this section and adjectives in this section, we'll be able to differentiate between singular and plural for different nouns. Many of the nouns that we come across or have come across so far end in one of two different ways. If it's the subject of the sentence, it's either ended in A or US. Those have been the singular forms. If we want to make them plural, the A turns into an AE ending. We'll pronounce that I. So for an ending becomes I in the plural. For those that end in US, it becomes a long I, that I with a macron, that little line across the top of it. And we'll pronounce that E. So becomes E. There are a couple other exceptions that we will look at. For example, we saw the words wir, V-I-R. That's the singular. In the plural, that becomes wir-e with a long I ending. Same thing with the word puer. Puer in the singular becomes pueri in the plural, that long I ending. Now, as we pay attention to how they fit in the sentences, if we have a singular noun, going back to Chapter 2, we will have a singular verb. If we have a plural noun, we will have a plural verb. One of the other things that we're going to want to pay attention to is adjective and noun agreement. This jumps ahead a little bit, but we will always want to make sure that our nouns and adjectives match in case, number, and gender. Now, for the most part, you aren't going to understand what I mean by that, but I'm just planting the seed for a future lesson. But the important thing in this lesson is going to be the number, whether it's singular or plural. And we want to make sure at this point in the game that the endings match. So if you have a singular adjective, it has to have a singular noun. And if it's plural adjective, you'll have to have a plural noun. And as far as the endings go, at this stage in the game, the endings of our adjectives are going to match the endings of our nouns. For example, if we have solicita puella, a ending on the noun, a ending on the adjective. Or if we have laeti pueri, we have the E ending, the long I ending on the adjective, the long I ending on the noun. Where we need to be careful is with those words like puer and wir. We don't have a US ending there. However, if we have an adjective, we want to have it match. So it would in case, number, and gender. So even though it's wir, we don't have an ending on that word, we would have lightus, the US ending. I know it's a little bit to wrestle with right now, but trust me, stick along for the ride and you'll understand it. As you go through these exercises, make sure that your adjectives and nouns match. You want to have them be singular and you want to have them be plural. Also, as you pay attention to the exercises, make sure that your verbs match your nouns. If you have a singular verb, you want a singular subject. If you have a plural subject, you need a plural verb.